Hi everyone. I wanted to give an energetic transmission on Thursday's North Node Lunar Eclipse in Pisces. These last few moons, and especially this eclipse season, has been really strong and is calling us to act and be present. This message is for those who are going through spiritual transitions and elevations. And so, as you see, I have my lighting is a little bit different here. This was done on purpose. Moody light, specifically for this Pisces eclipse moon. And I also want to acknowledge everyone who has sent their condolences regarding my husband's passing. I absolutely appreciate it. There's a lot of you who I need to still get back with, but I have at least seen and received your messages, and I will certainly, definitely one by one, let everyone know how much I appreciate your kind words and support. But I'm back here on YouTube, and it feels really good to kind of get that going again. So we're going to jump right into this moon video. Overall, the Pisces full moon asks us to balance spirituality with practicality. The divine feminine is taking her rightful seat at the throne, and part of what that means is understanding that your spirituality and how you practice it must work in your favor. It's about no longer being afraid of working with what's right there in front of you and what you naturally have at your fingertips. So, finding out what is in your spiritual arsenal and how you use all of it is an individual journey. It will look different from person to person. Behavior will be different from person to person. It's also about honoring your body and no longer putting people ahead of the signals that you receive from your nervous system. And most importantly, it's about honoring your mission. And yes, I know that I'm using military terms here, but I think these times definitely call for it. One important aspect of this full moon is that Mercury is in Virgo right now, conjunct with the sun and also opposing the moon. I titled this video Wishy-Washy, and another word for wishy-washy is mercurial or Mercury. Mercury is the androgynous planet of communication, where half of it is always lit and facing the sun, and the other half is constantly facing away from the sun and it stays dark. But as Mercury enters Virgo, it carries a very structured and analytical way of speaking and processing information. It's very streamlined, it's careful, and it's articulate. And actually, my Mercury is in Virgo, and we have a bit of a reputation by being analytical know-it-alls and being hypercritical, but especially hypercritical of ourselves. But this energy is to be used in your favor, as this is a requirement of spiritual elevation. And so, as we develop along our spiritual journeys, we can't be lazy about our speech or our communication, and certainly not lazy with our intentions. We're even upgrading how we are processing information. But during this eclipse season, you may feel somehow, no matter how straightforward you are with your words, there will still be some confusion, some haziness with those who are not operating on the same frequency as you, who cannot receive or process information in the way that you do. So, why is that? For a while now, spiritualists, channelers, and others have spoken a lot about upcoming consciousness shifts and resets. And I believe that's where we are right here, right now. And so relationships and friendships are ending, job loss, losing homes, ego deaths, loss, and endings of all kinds are happening. A frequency shift, a reset, or even a realignment. Bashar Darrell Anka has talked for many years about trains leaving the same train station, but going in different directions. And the farther apart that they travel, the harder it is to course correct if you're on the wrong train, if you find yourself on the wrong train. And so we're talking about consciousness here, choosing the applicable consciousness train. And so before, there was less of a gap in our communication, in how we relate to one another. We could make assumptions that didn't have such detrimental results or outcomes. Basically, I mean that we could BS our way through things and get away with it. We thought that if someone could speak well enough on a topic and or having enough information about it, they were good enough to be considered an example of that information or a good source to go to for that information. But as information has become really cheap now and easy to access, more is required of us as the individuals. We can't just say, yes, I value marriage, yes, I value health and well being, simply because we read books about these topics and quote others that we resonate with. It's not just about, repeating quotes and phrases that other people have already said. We really have to put our weight behind our words, which is embodiment. How are we actually showing up in when these situations arise, and how are we responding in real time? So what does a frequency shift look like? How does this communication gap appear in real life? Well, I have a few personal examples, and as for me, this has always happened across my lifetime, but it has been heightened, very hot and heavy over the past 8 months or so, where as I decided to clear up a lot of my own internal conflicts and make the daring move of showing up with integrity in my purpose, doing deeper identity work, reflecting internally about who I am and who I am becoming, and the intentions that I want to set in the life that I want to live, and also unblocking my throat chakras. As I did all of these things, I began experiencing these very weird one-way conversations from those who were evidently getting very triggered by my standing taller with this newfound strength. It's that strength then became a bad thing, especially when you are really feeling what being empowered means for the first time, or in a new way at least. And so it was to the point where they assumed that I was confused, that I was worshiping God the wrong way, and that I wasn't grieving my husband's passing in the right way, and that all of this extreme judgment by people who were insisting that I was wrong, and insisting that I am unhappy, and insisting that they had the answers that I desperately needed. And I would say that they were arguing with me, but like I said, these were one-way conversations. I wasn't being heard, or they didn't care to even really hear me out. It was for me to take direction from them. Essentially they were nitpicking things about me and processing me through their operating system, instead of understanding and accepting and knowing that we all have different operating systems that we are allowed to update at any time. In a frequency shift, you will begin making less sense to some and more sense to others. Whatever you say is going to register completely differently depending on that individual person's scale. It is a recalibration, so to speak. This full moon will reveal your frequency and who you are and are no longer aligned with or resonate with. For those leveling up, do not over explain. That is definitely one of my um, Mercury and Virgo issues. Also, don't shit talk them. Another Mercury and Virgo issue. And don't second guess your values that you have carefully curated over time. I have had someone just do that recently with suggesting that I change my values around something that I took my time, years, really developing. And I didn't even ask them for any advice either. This was something they were throwing at me, and that they were making an issue out of that I didn't see as an issue to correct. And certainly do not take performative action just so that it is pleasing to others, just so they can get off your back. Do not do that either. You are up-leveling to your purpose, and you are required to be clear-headed. Again, Mercury and Virgo, being very clear-headed and meticulous, to be able to accurately receive and digest the messages that the spirit realm is sending you regarding the present moment and the future that you are to create. This is not a time for settling in old comfort zones. We are now creating a new comfort zone for you that is a level higher, at least one level higher. It's a lesson in standing firm in your purpose and using fewer words to explain things. And the few words that you do use needs to be very clear and precise. And I understand the irony of this, as this is a longer video than what I usually record. And while it's uncomfortable, this shift is not a bad thing. Those who do not align literally just simply cannot compute what you are saying. And it's like a dog whistle or even that muffled voice of the Charlie Brown teacher. And so they are going to misinterpret your faith. They're going to misinterpret your vision and your mission. They will misinterpret your actions, your alignment, and growth in your purpose as you being unwell or moving too fast. All because you are stepping into your assigned wavelength and frequency. You will even operate differently than a lot of other spiritual people, because not all spiritual people are not all of them automatically have the capacity to hold this level of depth simply because they claim to be spiritual. That's not the case. And that's actually a lesson that I quickly had to learn after my husband passed away, that not all people who say, if you ever need a listening ear and if you never ever need someone to talk to and process things, and I'm here for you. Not everybody is here for you. And not everyone has the capacity, the depth, or the range to hold you as you both process these low emotions and also elevating along your journey at the same time. So, some people use spiritual jargon as an aesthetic because it's popular now. It seems to be popular and cool to be spiritual. Others use spirituality to ground themselves and to remind themselves of who they are, and especially as the going gets tough. But I also really want to mention the importance of therapy, counseling, and all of that. I don't want to dismiss the importance of professional help. I am no stranger to seeking a psychologist when I need assistance, and this is what I mean about what is in your spiritual arsenal. It's not just, do you know human design or, astrology or numerology or something like that? Do you go to a priest or a church? Like, all these things are a part of your spiritual arsenal, which is why it is specific to each individual. So I want everyone to know that, seeking help, especially professional help, by a mental health counselor, um, it's not a sign of weakness or that you are broken. That is probably one of the strongest signs of strength, actually, and that you do care about your mental health and your well-being and how you're treating yourself, how you're treating others, and that you're still planning for your future. You still have a future that you want to build. So use all of the tools and resources available. It's not about which one is better than the other. Have all of these tools at your disposal. Matthew chapter 5 verse 37 and James chapter 5 verse 12 tells us to let our yeses be yeses and let our nos be nos. True yeses and true nos. Be intentional with your words, your thoughts, and your behaviors. And as you do, people, places, and things will begin to fall off that don't align. And as you ascend, you will lose and gain connections. You are vibrating on the frequency of growth and expansion, and you are leading by example. You are a wise teacher, and you teach from your embodiment. And you can't get there when you are downplaying your purpose and when you are busy people pleasing. Expect to hit walls with people during this Pisces full moon and during this eclipse season and all of these really heavy energies that we've been experiencing for quite a while that seem to be intensifying, actually. You may also feel called to change the work that you're doing, change your career, take a new angle in your business, or start a business for the first time. So this is also purpose-driven work. This is really what's driving it. Purpose-driven work that is profitable, that is the balance between the spiritual and the practical. And so there is no healing without some sort of confrontation, whether it be man versus man, or man versus himself, man versus nature, or man versus society. And so being misunderstood is an absolute blessing, because no one can thwart your plan if they don't know your next move and if they don't really know where you're going. And so this is the natural tug and pull of a full moon, and it is especially the case with an eclipse. But your healing energy brings the much needed conclusions, solutions, and resolutions needed at this time. And as this shadow is cast over the full moon, your purpose must matter more than you being perceived correctly. And let any confrontations that you may have be from a place of love and release. And when I wrote that down, I somehow was thinking of catch and release, like what they do with fish, like when somebody goes fishing and they catch and release the fish. And that actually is quite appropriate with this being a Pisces full moon. And so, whether you are letting go of internal battles and identities, or something or someone external, it is time to lock in. Whatever it is time to lock in. So, if you are ready to peek into your spiritual arsenal and embody the gifts that you were uniquely meant to bring to the world, I would love to personally work with you. So, whether you are ready to start ground level identity work and owning your voice, or learning how you can turn your purpose into a business, into a spiritual business maybe, or just simply see what's in store for you this year and how you are energetically to show up this year, I've got everything for you listed in the description box or in the bio or wherever I might be posting this video on a variety of different platforms. But it's in the bio, the description box, somewhere, comment section. It's all there for you. And so I believe I still have the sales prices up for all of my one-on-one offers. I haven't, uh, I didn't go back and update the pricing, so definitely I might leave it up until the end of the month, actually, instead of just it being the end of Leo season. My birthday, August 22nd. Leo season is year-round, by the way. We're just taking a little bit of a water break right now, but Leo season is year-round. But I'll leave the prices up, the sales prices up throughout the end of August. So definitely take advantage of that while it's still available. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one.